lovedreamingpeach.com.
My lovely peaches, gots to coordinate. Gots to coordinate. So, actually, what I wanted to talk about in this quick little video is that, so apparently Donald Trump wants to invoke an act from 1792, the Insurrection Act, which dates all the way back to 1792. Congress intervened in 1878, prohibiting the president from using federal troops to enforce civilian law under most circumstances. The Insurrection Act, which dates all the way back to 1792, was maintained as an exception to this prohibition. Okay, but now let's talk about this other act, which also dates back quite long ago. Just a few years later, the Logan Act from 1798. So since he wants to go back so far, let's go back. What's the Logan Act? The Logan Act, enacted in January 1799, is a United States federal law that criminalizes the negotiation of a dispute between the United States and a foreign government by an unauthorized American citizen. The intent behind the act is to prevent unauthorized negotiations from undermining the government's position. What did Trump do, though?
Asked about it. Let's watch how he handled it.
You just mentioned Putin, though, and there's been this controversy the past week. Can you say yes or no whether you have talked to Vladimir Putin since you stopped being president?
Well, I don't comment on that, but I will tell you that if I did, it's a smart thing.
What?
If I'm friendly with people, if I have a relationship with people, comment on that, but I will tell
He
you
said,
that if I did, it's a smart thing.
Oh my
Vladimir
God.
Putin
He said,
since you
he
the
said,
past week.
well, I don't comment on that, but if I did, I'll tell you it's a smart thing. What the fuck?
First time he's been asked about it. Let's watch how he handled it.
You just mentioned Putin, though, and there's been this controversy the past week. Can you say yes or no whether you have talked to Vladimir Putin since you stopped being president?
Well, I don't comment on that, but I will tell you that if I did, it's a smart thing. If I'm friendly with people, if I have a relationship with people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. In terms of a country, he's got 2,000 nuclear weapons, and so do we. China has a lot less, but they'll catch us within 5 years.
That sounds
If
very,
I have a relationship,
very much
I don't talk about that. I don't talk about that. I don't.
That sounds very much like you did talk to him. I don't talk about that. Oh my God. Let's listen to this stupid motherfucker one more time. He is such a goddamn crook.
This is the first time he's been asked
That's
about
Tim
it.
Miller,
Let's watch how he
the
handled it.
Bulwark.
You just mentioned Putin, though, and there's been this controversy the
Yeah.
past week. Can you say yes or no whether you have talked to Vladimir Putin since you stopped being president?
Well, I don't comment on that, but I will tell you that if I did, it's a smart thing.
What?
If I'm friendly with people, if I have a relationship with people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. In terms of a country, he's got 2,000 nuclear weapons, and so do we. China has a lot less, but they'll catch us within 5 years.
That sounds
If
very,
I have a relationship,
very much
I
like
don't talk about. I don't talk about. No,
That sounds very much like. That sounds very much like you did talk to him. No, I don't talk about that.
talk about
I don't
talking
ever
to
say it,
Netanyahu, you talk
but I
about
can tell
talking
you
to
what.
things.
Oh
Russia
gosh.
has
Okay, so
never
let's
had
see.
President that they respect so much, but more importantly, or less importantly, I guess.
Wait,
I
more
went into
importantly or
Russia,
less
and
importantly,
people
I
they
guess.
respect so much, but more importantly, or less importantly, I guess. I went into Russia, and people said, "Oh, he likes Putin, and Putin likes him." Let me tell you, the first thing I did was terminated Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord.
All right, so the Logan Act, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 1998, 19 The Logan Act was because some dude named Dr. George Logan in Pennsylvania in 1798 engaged in negotiations with France as a private citizen during the Quasi-War. The Logan Act was basically a response to an effort by a Philadelphia Quaker named George Logan to try to negotiate directly with the French government. This was a big scandal at the time in foreign affairs because Logan, a Democratic Republican, was trying to thwart the policy of the Federalists, who controlled both houses of Congress and the White House, said Steve Vladeck of the University of Texas School of Law. Okay, so what do you get? Only 2 indictments have ever been handed up under the Logan Act, both in the 19th century. One in 1803 when a grand jury indicted Francis Flournoy, a Kentucky farmer who had written an article in the Frankfurt Guardian of Freedom under the pen name of, quote, a Western American. Flournoy, Flournoy, advocated for the creation of a new independent state not part of the U.S. in North America, which would ally with France. Okay, and then some other dude in 1852, Jonas Phillips Levy, became the second and to date the last, maybe not, person to be indicted under the Logan Act. Levy, an American merchant and sailor who was living in Mexico at the time, had acquired a grant to build a railway across the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, or I cannot pronounce it. The narrowest point across Mexico. Secretary of State Daniel Webster had been pressuring Mexico to accept a treaty that would allow a different group of American businessmen to build the railway. Okay, so Levi wrote a letter to the Mexican president, Mariano Arista, urging him to reject Webster's proposed treaty. Okay, so prompting Webster to seek an indictment against Levy for violating the Logan Act. So, having secret chats with Putin so you can chop up Ukraine and just end this war and, give pieces of Ukraine to Putin. And for what in return? What favors in return will Trump get? So, but is anybody going to actually press charges against this man? I mean, he already is a convicted felon of 34 counts. He's an adjudicated rapist, and he's got a whole bunch of other shit coming down on him. But is anybody going to do nothing? Is anybody going to do something? Hopefully. Oh, let me show my... I think it's just a shame that someone like him would even be allowed to run. I was telling my kids, I feel like I'm being gaslit by the government. I am being gaslit. We're all being gaslit by the fact that this rapist crook is actually in a position where he could potentially be the president of our country. How is that even possible? We've got to get out and vote. I've already voted. I voted early by mail. But you've got to vote. You've got to tell your friends to vote. You've got to tell your mom to vote. Tell your aunt. Tell your niece. Tell your nephew. Tell somebody who's just turned 18. Tell somebody who just turned 88. Anybody and everybody who you think could possibly will vote. Please, let's make this happen. I believe it's going to happen. I'm not nervous, but I do want to see that man in jail. But I have faith. I have faith that ultimately people are going to do the right thing. And there is hate, but love will prevail. I got 2 of these. 2 this white with blue, and I got 2 blue with white. Oh, my new bag I should show. Let me see if I can show it real quick. So my son said this side looks kind of ominous by itself. Like, ooh. But I said that's because it is. Kapow! Because if we don't go with this, then it's going to be ominous. It's going to be terrible. So I got it directly off of Harris or KamalaHarris.com. I went directly to her. So many different people have stuff that they're selling. And like Luke Beasley, you know, he has a bunch of cool stuff and then like a code and stuff. But I wanted to just give the money directly to her. And that's what I did. That bag was $40. And these were like $6 for 2. So the bag seems okay. You know, I'm going to use it as a grocery bag. And, you know, the point, I'm sure the bag was a lot less to make, but the whole point is to donate. So donate if you can. Register if you're not already registered, and please vote. So, yeah. I just wanted to show. So I got 4 of those. I put one in that window so that when you're looking down from the street, you can see it. And another one, at first I put it in my front window of my car, but then it was like too big and too distracting. So I was going to put it in the back window where I have the other one, but then it kind of got a little ripped. So I was like, you know what? Let me just put it in my house. So I did fix it. So put that on another window. And then this one is here. Let me zoom in. So it's on my plants, which makes sense because we're growing into the future. So I love it. It'll be like a little background. A nice little Madam President, Vice President Walls here in the background. Soon, 20-some days until we have a new president, and I believe it will be Harris.